Which I just have to say that if you had a restaurant, I would become your regular customer because I like your style.
While some MasterChef contestants faced intense struggles, battling nerves, and the pressure of competition, some others rose to the occasion, dazzling the judges with their creativity and skill. But what unfolds once the cameras stop rolling and the apron comes off? How do these talented cooks navigate their paths in the culinary world beyond the show? Everyone wonders where they've landed, what they're cooking up now, and how the MasterChef experience has shaped their lives, both in and out of the kitchen. Let's kick things off with Brie Baker.
Brie, the salmon's raw. You dress food beautifully. You know, it's like your hair, there's not a hair out of place.
Season 10 gave us Brie, and honestly, she was just a total gem. Right from the jump, she was serving up culinary fireworks, landing in the top spots, and even snagging wins as team captain. Her whole vibe was so contagious, everyone was rooting for her. And those plating skills? Unreal! The judges and contestants didn't hesitate to crown her the plating queen, and she rocked that crown like a pro. It was one wild ride. But, like, you know how it goes. Things took a turn. Brie hit a rough patch, and suddenly her dishes weren't sparking the same magic. It spiraled fast, 5 lows in a row. Like, has anyone ever nosedived that hard on MasterChef? It was like she went from culinary goddess to, raw salmon? Yep, it happened. And sadly, that sealed the deal on her journey.
This competition is definitely the hardest thing I've ever done.
The dessert, for me, is an insult to France.
So, here's how it all kicked off in episode 13. It was a mystery box and an elimination challenge, with the judges already hyping it as the toughest one yet. Up until then, Brie had been killing it in the mystery box challenges, always delivering some of the best dishes. But, oh man, things were about to change for her.
In the last 2 mystery boxes, I've had one of the best dishes.
The home cooks lift their boxes and cue the drum roll. It's just a single loaf of bread. Yep, that's it. They had 1 hour to make 2 dishes, one savory, one sweet, all centered around bread. The pantry was wide open with different kinds of bread, but still not an easy task.
That's right, a single loaf of bread.
Brie seemed confident though, and she's worked in a French restaurant that does a lot of bread-based dishes, so she felt right at home. She told the judges she was going for a French onion soup, but Joe immediately threw some shade, calling it one of the ugliest dishes ever. Not exactly plating queen material, right? But Brie, ever the optimist, promised she could elevate it, like turning a beast into a beauty. The judges, full of hope, wished her luck and moved on.
French onion soup is the ugliest dish of all time.
I'm gonna embrace it and go a little more rustic with it, but elevated rustic.
Brie started off super confident, saying she was all about the details. But as the clock ticked down, her confidence took a nosedive. Her dessert looked overcooked and was seriously stuck in the mold. Yikes! When it was time for the taste test, she stepped up, proud to show off her rustic dish. But then Aaron jumped in, saying, without even tasting it, that he couldn't figure out what took her 60 minutes. Ouch! Chef Ramsay chimed in, agreeing that for a bread challenge, her dessert had barely any bread, just a crisp piece stuck on top. Total fail for the theme.
So you can't come up with the crisp at the end and stick it on top.
There is brioche in the pistachio crumble.
That's all you have as a bread dessert.
That was the tipping point for Brie. The tears started flowing, she looked completely crushed. The judges had to keep moving though, and when they tried her soup, they noted the nice color on the onions, trying to lighten the mood a bit. But then Joe flipped the bread bowl over, and surprise? Nothing came out. It was just an onion bowl. Brie realized she totally messed up, and you could see the shock on everyone's faces. Joe pointed out that she needed to step up her game. Her dish was far from worthy of season 10. She had climbed so high, only to crash hard, it was bound to be a deep fall from there.
There's no soup in your soup.
When Chef Ramsay got to the dessert, he didn't hold back. He straight up called it an insult to France. Ouch! He said that she can't just scoop the middle out and plop it on the plate and think they were gonna love it. You could see the disappointment in his face. He couldn't believe Brie had fallen so far from her usual greatness. It felt like she was sabotaging her own success, and that was just rough to watch.
The dessert, for me, is an insult to France. A clafouti, it's actually cooked in the mold. You don't scoop the middle out and dump it on the plate.
Brie, on the other hand, was completely speechless. Her eyes were brimming with tears as she looked down, barely able to respond. She managed a quiet, "thank you," to the judges, but you could see she was just wishing to wake up from this nightmare. Little did she know, this was only the beginning of her struggles.
And some of the wow desserts out there tonight, I'm amazed you've come up this bad.
The nightmare finally wrapped up, but not before Brie faced 4 more tough challenges. And when it did come to an end, it was a total gut punch in episode 20. This time, Daphne Oz joined the judges, bringing even more pressure. Joe announced that all the top 8 contestants were up for elimination this round, so the stakes were sky high.
Tonight, every one of you will be facing elimination.
It was a mystery box challenge, but this one was wild. There was literally nothing inside the box, not even a grain of rice. Instead, they got a single cast iron skillet. Yep, the challenge was to whip up an amazing dish using just that one pan. Talk about a one-pot wonder.
That's right, a single cast iron pan.
Brie was feeling the heat right from the start. She had never really cooked with a cast iron skillet at home, so she was at a disadvantage while everyone else seemed right at home with it. To pump them up, Chef Daphne jumped in to show them how to make her favorite pot meal. With just 1 hour on the clock, they were all racing to create something incredible with just one pot.
I don't actually have one at home. I don't cook in one pan.
Brie was busy whipping up a salmon dish with corn puree, and while it seemed pretty straightforward, Chef Ramsay thought she needs to elevate this comfort food. Brie was all ears, soaking up any advice that came her way, because she knew she had to play it safe this time around. She shared that her dream is to work in a top-notch restaurant and eventually own one. But that could only happen if she won MasterChef, so no pressure, right?
So the dish sounds simple, so make sure you've got that elevated comfort on there as well.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, the judges were chatting it up, and they felt Brie's dish was sounding kind of bland. Not exactly MasterChef material unless she made it pop. Joe chimed in, pointing out that with only 30 minutes left, there was still nothing cooking in her pan. Yikes!
Here's the problem. Half hour's gone by, and there's nothing cooking in that cast iron pan yet.
When she finally got things going, it didn't start off well. Brie tossed the salmon into the pan on high heat, and the skin immediately started to stick. Erin tried to give her a heads up, but she was totally lost at that moment. In a panic, she decided to make an entirely new salmon fillet. But with the clock ticking down, she hadn't even started roasting the baby carrots she wanted to add. This was a super risky move, and I was really hoping she could pull it off.
The skin stuck to the cast iron skillet, so now I'd have to make a whole nother salmon.
So, what's Brie up to these days after her MasterChef journey? Well, she's taken her talents to the next level and dove into food styling and photography. She launched her own gig called The Plating Queen, and let me tell you, her Instagram is a feast for the eyes. You've got to check it out. Every post is packed with drool-worthy food shots that'll make your stomach rumble. But it doesn't stop there. Brie also set up a Facebook page for The Plating Queen, so she's covering all her bases on social media. Whether you want to drool over her creations or get some inspiration for your own plating game, she's got you covered. It's awesome to see how she turned her MasterChef experience into something creative and delicious. So, if you haven't already, hit that follow button on both her Instagram and Facebook. Trust me, you won't regret it. Brie's living her best life, and it's all about making food look as amazing as it tastes. Go, Brie! While Brie was battling to hold on to her spot in the MasterChef kitchen, there was another contestant making waves, Dorian Hunter. Dorian quickly became the star of the show, proving that perseverance and passion could really pay off. Her journey was one for the books, and you couldn't help but root for her as she moved closer to that coveted MasterChef trophy. Dorian was definitely one of the standout stars of the season, showcasing her immense talent and passion in the kitchen. You could feel the determination radiating from her. While Brie was scrambling to keep her footing, Dorian was consistently rising to the challenge. She never landed in the bottom during individual or team challenges, though she had a pretty strong dislike for team challenges. Can you blame her? That kitchen can get chaotic.
2 dishes. I knew it was going to be a twist, but this is my opportunity to change my family's life.
Oh boy.
Beautiful.
Wow, gorgeous.
What really set Dorian apart was her emotional side. She had a fiery temper and wasn't afraid to let the tears flow, especially during that intense tag team elimination challenge with Subha. But despite those emotional moments, she proved time and again that she could whip up incredible dishes even under serious pressure. With back-to-back victories, she was quickly becoming a frontrunner for the coveted MasterChef trophy.
Okay, you want me to put it on the floor?
So much.
But let's talk about her epic moment in episode 13. That was the game changer. It was a grueling mystery box challenge combined with an elimination round. The contestants had just an hour to create one entree and one dessert, using only a single piece of sourdough bread.
Oh! All right.
Sourdough bread.
All right.
Leading up to this episode, Dorian had found herself on the chopping block before, but this time, she was determined to turn things around. She kicked things off with a bang, beautifully searing her pork chop while embracing her Southern comfort food style. She was crafting a Southern pork chop with bread stuffing and a chocolate crumble bread pudding. Chef Ramsay was loving her prep and wished her luck, which always feels like a good omen.
That looks beautiful, Dorian.
Ooh, that is a gorgeous sear.
Thank you.
Then came the taste test, and you could feel the tension in the air. Dorian was worried her pork chop might be raw and send her home. But when Chef Ramsay made the first cut, jaws dropped, her pork was cooked to perfection. Dorian was completely speechless, her relief washing over her like a wave. Joe was blown away too, raving that the 18-ounce pork chop was an accomplishment any chef would be proud of. You could practically see Dorian's happiness soaring through the roof, and you knew the other contestants were starting to sweat.
That's called perfection. Right there. That is absolute spot on.
Now, onto the dessert, the turtle bread pudding. Just one bite, and Chef Ramsay was left speechless, uttering a stunned, "Oh my God!" It was a decadent treat that had Joe unable to stop himself from going back for more. Aaron even threw in a Southern compliment, saying Dorian really put her heart into the dish, and you could see it all over their faces. By this point, Dorian was in tears, feeling like she had reached the pinnacle of her culinary journey.
Dorian. OMG.
Oh,
Delicious.
But here's the kicker. Joe dropped his spoon in a moment of pure respect for her dish. Dorian gasped in disbelief. It was like a dream come true. A spoon drop from Joe is practically the highest praise a contestant can get on MasterChef. She was over the moon, and in that moment, you knew she had truly arrived. And it just got better from there. Dorian won almost every challenge she participated in, but most memorable out of those was the immunity challenge in episode 21.
Fantastic. Dorian, I dropped my spoon to you. Fantastic dessert.
Amazing.
It was game time for the top 7, and the challenge kicked off with the sweetest surprise ever, family members. Talk about the perfect cure for homesickness. Dorian's husband Charles showed up to cheer her on, and you could see her light up. She affectionately calls him her big cup of chocolate, and honestly, he seemed like her biggest supporter. Charles gushed about Dorian's undeniable passion for cooking, saying he was thrilled the world finally got to see her shine in her element.
My husband, Charles, I call him my big cup of chocolate. You know, he's everything to me. And to have him here is absolutely phenomenal.
The challenge was to whip up a dish that would impress not just the judges, but also the family members watching from the balcony, like little guardian angels. How cool is that? To make things even more exciting, there were 3 immunity spots up for grabs, which meant a guaranteed spot in the top 6. Stakes were high, folks.
Remember that, okay?
My culinary dream has never really been...
As the contestants prepped, Chef Ramsay chatted with Charles, marveling at how lucky he was to have such a talented wife. In a fun twist, Charles even spilled the beans that Dorian had a bit of a crush on Chef Ramsay. Classic. Down in the kitchen, Dorian felt a wave of calm wash over her with Charles there, and she decided to dig deep into her roots, planning to make something Southern. Chef Ramsay was already impressed with her vibe and the homey nature of her dish.
So Dorian, she's doing a braised collard green. She's in the most amazing crusted pork chop.
Sounds like a super homey dish.
Dorian presented a herb-crusted pork chop, and while Joe had some reservations about its Southern flair, Chef Ramsay jumped in, cutting him off mid-sentence. He declared Dorian's dish was absurdly delicious, and just like that, she scored another win. Can you say power couple? Fast forward to Dorian Hunter, the Season 10 MasterChef champ from Cartersville, Georgia, who absolutely made a splash with her winning menu. Who could forget those perfectly seared scallops, melt-in-your-mouth short ribs, and that vibrant lemon blueberry tart? The judges were in awe, and she totally earned that victory.
Dorian!
After the confetti settled, Dorian didn't take a breather. Nope, she jumped right into training at the restaurants of the 3 MasterChef judges, soaking up culinary wisdom like a sponge. And if that wasn't enough to keep her busy, she also launched her own cookbook, Not Your Average Southern Sides Chick, a playful nod to her southern roots with a fun twist. While Dorian dreams of opening her own restaurant one day, she's currently thriving as a private chef, catering to special events and keeping things delicious in a more personalized, intimate setting. It's clear that Dorian's culinary journey is just getting started, and we can't wait to see what she cooks up next. But let's not forget about another standout contestant from the MasterChef kitchen, Nick DiGiovanni. This guy had an infectious charm and an undeniable passion for food that resonated with both the judges and viewers alike. Nick was one of those contestants you just knew was destined for greatness, regardless of whether he snagged the title or not. His journey through the competition made him a fan favorite, and it's easy to see why.
Being out here, it's not some small deal to me. It's what I want to do with my life.
Very intellectual take on a surf and turf with the prawn aioli. I mean, really high thinking, great tasting stuff.
Thanks, Chuck.
Nick DiGiovanni is often celebrated as one of the most creative contestants in MasterChef history. From his first appearance, he stood out not just for his impressive skills, but for his infectious passion and work ethic. Picture this. He breezed through 5 straight weeks without facing a single elimination challenge. Talk about a culinary powerhouse. One of Nick's most unforgettable moments came during the Mystery Box Challenge in episode 6, where the competition was fierce. Only the top 16 home cooks were left standing. And as if that wasn't exciting enough, supermodel Alessandra Ambrosio joined the judges to unveil the challenge. The stakes were high, with only 3 immunities up for grabs, setting the stage for a nail-biting showdown.
Coming from Brazil, we love fresh food, fishing, grabbing like whatever we have using that day to cook.
When the mystery box was raised, it revealed a selection of staple proteins from Latin American cuisine. The contestants had just 1 hour to whip up a dish featuring at least one of these ingredients. Nick, however, was a bit starstruck. He was working at the front counter right next to Alessandra. You could see him shyly fumbling with his words while trying to focus on his cooking. It was endearing to watch such a talented cook visibly flustered by the presence of a celebrity.
It's hard to focus on a radish when there's a supermodel standing there, but my head is down and I'm just not looking up, so.
Just as everyone thought they were getting into the groove of cooking, MasterChef pulled its signature move, a twist. With just 30 minutes left on the clock, Chef Ramsay called for a halt to the timer. Cue the gasps. The judges announced they wanted everyone to create a delicious Latin-inspired ceviche to accompany their main dish. Talk about upping the ante.
Also, want to see a delicious Latin-inspired ceviche.
Joe Bastianich, always one to throw a bit of friendly banter, encouraged Nick to tap into his big Harvard brains and use this unexpected time wisely. For Nick, being in the MasterChef kitchen was a dream come true. He had taken time off from school to chase this passion, leaving everything else behind to pursue a culinary career. The pressure was on.
I've taken time off from school and I've kind of put everything behind and come here to chase my dream.
But Nick embraced the challenge. He recalled fond memories of making ceviche as a kid, fishing with his brother during summer vacations. This twist wasn't just a hurdle, it was a delightful trip down memory lane for him, which made it even more special. His nostalgia was infectious.
You know, I cook ceviche a lot at home in the summer. My brothers and I catch a lot of fish.
Yep.
And so that's fun for me.
While Nick juggled his ceviche and his main dish, Brazilian cheese bread tacos, he faced a bit of skepticism. John, one of the judges, was curious about how the taco batter would turn out, worrying it might end up more like a crepe than a taco. But when Nick poured the batter onto the pan, it spread out perfectly, impressing everyone.
Spread it out a bunch, yeah. May not be hot enough yet.
Good luck. Looks good.
Thank you, chefs.
When it was finally time for the taste test, Nick beamed with pride. His dish was a vibrant masterpiece that showcased his creativity and boldness. Chef Ramsay was quick to point out that Nick didn't play it safe. He stepped out of his comfort zone, which was commendable. Even Aaron Sanchez praised him for his innovative approach, noting how he truly set himself apart from the other contestants.
You gotta get in there, and the fact that you did this is so bold, young man.
Thank you, chef.
And the compliments kept coming. Joe remarked that Nick's ceviche presentation was one of the best of the evening, resembling something you'd find in a high-end restaurant. Despite a couple of minor mistakes in the ceviche, the tacos were a hit, extremely delicious and well executed. Aaron even described Nick's creation as a very cool and smart take on the taco, emphasizing that it wasn't just good, it was intellectually crafted.
What you've done with that cheese, tortilla, and marinated steak, delicious.
In the end, Nick's combination of creativity, nostalgia, and culinary prowess paid off. He didn't just meet the judges' expectations, he exceeded them. Winning the challenge and earning immunity was the icing on the cake, literally. This moment was not just a testament to his skills, but a snapshot of his culinary journey, proving that when you blend passion with creativity, you can create something truly remarkable.
Above and beyond what the judges were expecting, and so seeing them actually love the dish.
Nick DiGiovanni is a name that sparked excitement and creativity throughout his MasterChef journey. But like every great hero, he had his Achilles heel. For Nick, it was the pressure of working with desserts. Sweet Week was like a dark cloud looming over him, and when it came to cakes, well, let's just say he had a rocky relationship. The moment that really put his baking skills to the test was in episode 14 during the dreaded cake challenge. A skill test and an elimination challenge rolled into one.
You come up here and you pick a cake. Then you have to perfectly replicate that cake.
Picture this. The contestants were buzzing with excitement as the judges announced that, while the challenge was about celebration, one home cook would be going home. Cue the dramatic music. Contestants drew numbered candles to pick their cake, and when Nick, our beloved culinary wizard, chose the Victoria cake, you could almost hear a collective gasp. A Victoria cake? Really? For someone who wasn't exactly known for his baking prowess? It felt like he was stepping into a lion's den. But come on, this was Nick. If anyone could pull off a miracle, it was him. With only 75 minutes on the clock to replicate their specific cake after tasting it, the pressure was intense. The reward for the winning dish was a jaw-dropping $5,000 worth of Breville countertop appliances, which had every contestant dreaming of their future kitchen setups. But let's be real, this challenge was shaping up to be one of the most difficult finesse tests in MasterChef history.
Not only will it have to taste the same, but it'll have to look the same as those beautiful cakes in front of you.
Nick kicked things off strong. He methodically broke down the cake layer by layer, tasting every component like a true pro. Smart move, right? He knew there was zero room for errors, and he was determined to nail it. The cake base was looking solid, and he seemed calm and collected, classic Nick. Even Joe and Aaron commented on how tricky the Victoria cake could be, likening it to a jam and bread sandwich. But there was Nick, making his own strawberry jam like it was just another day in the park. He was on fire.
Look at Nick, he's literally taken that cake, broken it down layer by layer, and tasting every aspect of it.
As time ticked down though, the tension in the air was palpable. When it was finally Nick's turn to present his cake, things took a turn. Oh no, the cake looked like it had been through a culinary war zone. It's not the prettiest thing, Nick admitted, and he was spot on. The judges' expressions were a mix of shock and disbelief as they inspected what could only be described as a culinary catastrophe. Aaron even joked that it resembled a hamburger. Yikes!
It doesn't have that finesse that I'm looking for. It looks like a hamburger almost.
The frosting situation? Non-existent. The whole thing screamed easy bake rather than MasterChef. Chef Ramsay, ever the straight shooter, remarked that until that point, they had held Nick in the top 10 bracket. But this cake? It definitely pulled him down a few pegs. As Chef Ramsay took a bite, the horror continued. The sponge was crispy, a cardinal sin in baking. A Victoria cake should be soft and fluffy, not crunchy like a snack chip.
We've held you in that top tier bracket, and I think you put yourself down.
Despite the disastrous appearance, there was a silver lining. The inside was fluffy and surprisingly tasty. And the jam? Amazing. It was a small victory in an otherwise tumultuous challenge. Still, disappointment hung in the air. Nick knew he could have done better, and that realization stung.
No frosting, no real jeopardy, the sort of easygoing, simple cake.
But here's the thing about Nick. He never let that setback define him. He powered through the competition, showcasing his creative flair and energy, even if desserts weren't his forte. His ability to bounce back and keep pushing forward was a testament to his resilience. He continued to impress everyone in the kitchen with his innovative dishes, even as he navigated the pressures that came with the competition. As the season wound down to the finale, Nick's overthinking became his nemesis. He had this amazing knack for dreaming up incredible dishes, but sometimes those thoughts tangled him up, leading to a few underwhelming creations. It was a tough way to exit, but Nick remained a fan favorite, forging friendships and camaraderie with nearly everyone in the kitchen.
Your style and your ambition rewoke the sense I had for super intellectual modernist style cuisine.
In the end, it wasn't just his culinary skills that left a lasting impression. It was his spirit, creativity, and genuine energy. Nick DeGiovanni may have faced his fair share of challenges, but his journey through MasterChef was one for the books. A roller coaster of highs and lows that showcased not just his talent, but his heart. So here's to Nick, the creative force who reminded us that even when things get tough, it's all about how you rise to the occasion. After Nick's MasterChef journey ended, he dropped a pretty exciting hint on Instagram, saying he was totally down to take Joe up on his offer to mentor him. And honestly, it seems like that was just the start of something huge. Nick's taken his culinary skills and spun them into an online empire. Now, he's a full-on social media star with over 2 million YouTube subscribers and an even crazier following on TikTok, more than 5 million fans tuning in to see what he's cooking up. His creativity, charm, and love for food have made him a fan favorite online. Whether it's whipping up wild recipes or sharing food hacks, Nick's found his groove in the digital space, and he's absolutely crushing it. Finally, we have Wuta, a contestant on MasterChef who brought a unique flair to the kitchen. As a proud vegetarian, he approached cooking proteins in an unconventional way, tasting them but then spitting them out. Despite his initial struggles with technique and being one of the weaker contestants, Wuta's determination and quick learning made him a standout.
I feel like I'm finally showing the judges I'm a strong competitor and I can rise to the top.
When he first entered the competition, he struggled a bit with technique and was one of the weaker contestants. But like a sponge soaking up water, he was a fast learner, quickly improving and holding his own in several individual challenges.
Here's the deal with the ceviche is bright and super tasty.
Unfortunately, as the competition heated up, Wuta's leadership skills left a lot to be desired. His inconsistencies started to catch up with him, and it all came to a head during one of the most challenging episodes yet. Episode 15, the dreaded macaron challenge. Enter Shari, the macaron queen, who revealed she made 3 to 4 batches of macarons every week for her family. You could practically hear the other contestants' jaws drop. Talk about intimidating.
I do. At home, I bake between 3 to 6 batches of macarons a week.
For this challenge, the fabulous Candace Nelson was brought in as the guest chef. She was there to guide the contestants through the delicate art of macaron making, which, despite seeming simple, was fraught with potential disasters. Just a smidge of water in the mix, or a tiny bit of yolk in the egg whites could spell doom for these little French treats.
There's only a few ingredients that go into one, but there are so many things that can go wrong.
The contestants had just 60 minutes to create a dozen perfectly shaped macarons, beautifully arranged in the boxes provided. It wasn't just a test of taste, it was a finesse showdown. Plus, they had to whip up 2 different flavors. With the top 10 on the line, the pressure was palpable.
At least 2 unique flavors perfectly situated in your boxes.
Now, Wuta wasn't exactly a macaron aficionado. His culinary dreams revolved around launching an after-school cooking program, not running a bakery. So, facing off against bakers like Sherry was like entering the lion's den with a toothpick. As he got started, it quickly became clear that his inexperience was showing. He messed up the batter, and thank goodness for Dorian, who swooped in with a heads up to help him out.
Is this stiff enough?
It's soft. You want just a little bit more.
Even Chef Ramsay noticed Wuta's struggles, pointing out that his batter was looking a bit too runny for the oven. And let's be real, in the macaron world, consistency is everything. If the batter wasn't right, it would be tough to find a match for both ends of the macaron. As time ticked away, Wuta started to crumble under pressure. It felt like he was in a culinary whirlwind, and nothing was going according to plan.
Be careful, this liquid's looking a little bit too runny. Like, that's too big, as you know.
Yeah, that one's too big.
With every glance around the room, Wuta saw his competitors filling their boxes to the brim, some even adding extras just in case. Meanwhile, Wuta was running out of time and not even close to getting his 12 macarons done. Many of his just didn't set as Dorian and Chef Ramsay had warned, and that was a real blow. The reality of MasterChef is brutal. Doing the task incorrectly is one thing, but not completing it? We all knew the consequences were looming.
I looked to my right, and it seems that everybody's boxes are filled.
I couldn't get 12 in because a lot of them didn't set.
When Chef Ramsay inspected Wuta's box, his disbelief was palpable. Only half the box was filled. Chef Ramsay exclaimed that he didn't want to present uncooked or burnt garbage and opted to only plate the good ones. Ouch! It didn't help Wuta's case that he was standing there, watching the other contestants thrive while his macaron dreams crumbled.
Wuta.
But wait, maybe the flavor would save him? Wuta had decided to make an orange carrot cake macaron with cream cheese. Sounds intriguing, right? Well, not so much when the judges took a bite. They couldn't even handle more than a taste. The texture was crumbly and the sugar content was off the charts, hitting them right on the tip of the tongue. It was the last thing anyone wanted from a macaron. Too sweet, too messy, too everything that was not good.
Sweet, it's almost sickly sweet in a way that I cannot take a second bite, which is the last thing.
So, in a dramatic turn of events, Wuta was sent packing. But let's be real, despite the ups and downs, Wuta left a mark on the competition with his determination and growth. He had a good run, and even though it ended in episode 15 with his overly sweet macarons, his journey was a testament to what it means to evolve as a cook.
And I don't feel bad sending you out of this kitchen tonight because I think the world needs what you have to offer more than we do.
As he walked out of the kitchen for the last time, you could see the fire in his eyes, ready to take on whatever came next. After all, every great chef has to start somewhere, and Wuta was just getting warmed up. Here's to Wuta and all the adventures waiting for him beyond the MasterChef stage. After his time on MasterChef, Wuta returned to his roots, stepping back into his role as a teacher. But his culinary journey didn't stop there. He also hosts pop-up dining events, giving people a chance to experience his creative cooking firsthand. So while he's back in the classroom, Wuta's still finding ways to share his love of food with the world. And that's a wrap on the Season 10 of MasterChef contestants, and where are they now? Which of these were the most surprising for you? Make sure to let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the videos, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on my post notifications. And if you're interested in taking a deep dive into the most successful MasterChef contestant ever, make sure to check out this next video right here. Believe me, nobody expected how things would turn out for them.
Who's prime time, right? You gotta call Eddie prime time. You gotta get the call, man.